What is it like being a Jamaican living in Atlanta, Georgia? Hi, I'm Xavier Murphy, the founder of Jamaicans.com, and today in Jamaicans to the World, I talk to Dr. Maxine Foster and Tony Gray, Jamaicans who live in Atlanta, Georgia. Hi, Dr. Max. Hi, Tony. How are you guys doing?
We're
Hi,
great.
Xavier. I am doing great. Awesome.
All right. So, folks, you're going to hear me say Dr. Max because it's my sister and a some know her. And Tony, I'm a brethren, and I some know him. But hey, Tony may refer to you as Dr. Foster.
No, she's my sister too, and it's
I
Dr.
know your
Max.
sister. I know it's your sister, and she already said don't spill no beans. So,
Okay, you're a good listener.
yes. So, you know, folks, we have a treat today. We have some folks that have lived in the Atlanta, Georgia area for a while. They're going to tell us about their experience. But first, here is where we start. Dr. Max, which part of Jamaica are you from?
All right. So, Xavier, I am from the country. I come from country.
Okay.
And I am in a little place called Erie Castle. It's in the parish of St. Thomas. And nobody probably don't know where that is, but most people know where Bath is and the fountain, the mineral. So I am that little district before you get into Bath. So that's where I was born, raised, grew up. And I know probably passed through there, but you never know, right? So now you know.
And Tony, which part of Jamaica are you from?
Port Antonio, Portland. Of course, I like to claim as the best parish, but I'll give St. Thomas second.
So you're from I think they refer to it as the breadbasket of Jamaica, Portland.
Well, I think St. Elizabeth referred to as a breadbasket, but we'll take it. We'll take it as Portland.
Well, let me tell you, beautiful, beautiful parish. In fact, I just came back from there the other day. And went to Frenchman's Cove. I hadn't been there in quite a while since I was a kid, and let me tell you, awesome. The pictures I took don't give it any justice. You know,
I'm telling you, that beach is phenomenal. That awesome beach.
Exactly.
And by the way, Xavier, that's my second home now because that's where I spend my time when I'm in Jamaica.
Okay.
So I sort of did a little bit of migration.
Okay. Well, the next item we need to clear up is which school are you representing from Jamaica?
I am representing Erie Castle Primary, Morant Bay High School. Those were the schools that I attended while I was there. I did college here in the States.
And Tony?
I'm representing Titchfield Secondary. That is my school. And I want to think it's the best school in Jamaica, but many memories. It's just awesome. But I represent Titchfield.
All right. So, Dr. Max, tell us, how long have you lived in Atlanta and how did you get to Atlanta? I know you had to fly. I know you had to fly on a plane, but what the story? Maybe you lived somewhere before and you heard about Atlanta and you say, hey, I'm moving. I'm going to check it out.
Well, I actually was trying to run away from the cold, to be honest with you. I was just done. I've been in New Jersey about 15 years prior to coming to Atlanta. And I was looking for warmer weather. And I was actually looking for a place in Florida. I thought I found something and was actually in the process of getting a place in like the West Palm Beach area. But that didn't work out. And somewhere along the road, I kind of got intercepted in Georgia. So I met a man.
Oh, we don't listen.
And you know, the rest of the story is history, right?
We're not spilling the beans. I'm not spilling
no beans.
You're spilling the beans. You met a man.
And as they say, the rest is history. And here I am 10 years later in Atlanta.
All right. Tony, tell us your story, how you got to Georgia and Atlanta.
I plan to spill no beans. Well, first of all, I migrated from Jamaica in 1970. Arrived in New York. Actually did 4 months in New York and just didn't like it. So my sister was in Maryland. and I decided to go to Maryland and also attended school in Washington, D.C. And then on from that, I went to Texas, and I spent 13 years in Texas. And then I got transferred in what year was that? 1973. I got transferred and I came here to Atlanta.
Okay. All right. So you are a vet there.
Well, actually, I've been here now for 37 years.
Wow. Wow. Man,
I was still running around in diapers.
That's beans, Dr. Max. That's beans.
So tell us about the experience in terms of the Jamaican community there. Is it I typically say to people the Atlanta area. I don't want to say because just like I always say, everything in South Florida is Miami. Anything in Broward is Fort Lauderdale. So let me say the Atlanta area.
Right.
How have you seen the Jamaican community grow? What's the things that we need to know about the Jamaican community there? And I know you both are involved.
Start with Tony. Him here longer than me. Come, Tony.
Because Tony must have been there when there was no Jamaican products in the store.
Exactly.
And there is no, that Jamaica people are one that, Tony, you must have some stories there.
I have many, many stories. As a matter of fact, even in Dallas, when I went to Dallas, there was just 5 Jamaicans I could find. But I arrived there in Atlanta in 1986 and watched the roads grow, like 285, the perimeter around Atlanta. That was pre-Olympics. The Olympics came here in 1996, and the city's been just on a growth factor ever since. I think Atlanta is so diverse. We have just a multicultural city, many people from many Caribbean natives, I might say. And it's just great. As a matter of fact, when my brother moved here from New York, he mentioned any time of night in New York he wanted something, he could get it or find it somewhere. Well, Atlanta has become like that now. Whatever you need, you can find it here in Atlanta. And it's just a great melting pot. Great place to be.
So in terms of when you arrive, right? And maybe you can pinpoint it, is when you have choices between this Jamaican restaurant and that Jamaican restaurant, this Jamaican patty shop and that Jamaican patty shop. Right. So about when that started to happen, if you could remember, Tony.
Well, actually, I started coming to Atlanta from 1979. When I left Texas, I was coming here for IBM school.
Right.
And in 1986, when I got here, it was a little sparse with Jamaicans so far. But with clubs, I think the real restaurant part and the competition started around in 1990, early 90s. And then you had an influx of Jamaican restaurants, and it just kept on growing today, as a matter of fact.
So, Dr. Max, tell us about your experience moving there 10 years ago. You came in, and what was there a strong Jamaican community, you would say, when you got there?
So I am in the South, and Tony's up north, right? So down south, there was nothing. I used to have to, in 2013, I am driving about 45 minutes to an hour just to go get some green banana, get my plantain, get me a saltfish, and me this and that, because I couldn't find anything down here in the South. But things are changing and have changed. Now, 10 minutes away, I can go to various stores. I have choices to get my produce and things like that. So it definitely has changed. Even restaurants. I'm surprised how many restaurants are brewing up down in the southern part where I am, because usually you'd have to go up in the Stone Mountain, the Gwinnett, up north.
Right.
And, that's like an hour drive at least, so things have definitely changed. And even for the organizations and activities that are going on, Few 10 years ago, they were mostly everything. I'm still driving an hour to go up to Stone Mountain, up to Gwinnett, to go down to someplace across town. But now I think the Caribbean community down in the South is also increasing. And there are other activities now that I'm seeing taking place. They have the Caribbean Association have a festival every year down here. And, many other activities are coming also down in the southern area.
Okay, great. Well, what would you, I usually say, in terms of the Jamaican community in the United States, right? The top two is the South Florida region and the New York region. Then you have, the and again, I don't want to rate it, but then you have the Connecticut, you have the
New
the
York, New Jersey,
area. But I always say Atlanta is there. You have to put them in that top 4, top 5. Would you say, based on what you have seen and how the community is? Again, I know you're not going out and checking off everybody, this person is Jamaican, but based on what you have seen, would you put yourself in one of the top 10 or even top 5 Jamaican communities in the United States?
I'm not sure where on the ladder we would place Atlanta, but I think we're right up there, even if we don't have the numbers to support it. But I think the impact and the fact that Jamaicans are here, even in the 2020 census, we could actually check that we're Jamaican in Atlanta.
Right.
So I think we are up there in the diaspora in terms of our impact in the diaspora and what we're doing, even though we don't have the number like a Miami or a New York or whatever, but we are strong.
Well, you all have associations up there. You have galas. I've been to many of the events that you all have had there. And so we know you're keeping a culture alive and telling the story. So I'm gonna sorry, go ahead, Dr. Max.
No, we definitely are, and you can come on down for the Independence, August 12th. Just thought I would throw that in there.
Thanks, Dr. Max.
I've been grabbed for another event, same Jamaica Independence event. So I'll be speaking at another Jamaica Independence event on the 12th. So,
wonderful.
All right. We'll look forward to seeing you in Atlanta next year.
All right. So I'm going to switch a little bit in terms of Georgia itself and Atlanta. What would you say is the typical Georgia, Atlanta food?
I can speak to that one.
Listen, you're basically saying I get my Jamaican food every day, so I don't even know what is out there. Is it I don't want to say barbecue, but is it?
It is. Barbecue. Maybe collard greens and some cornbread.
Everything is peachy down this side, right? Everything is peachy.
Right.
But I am not really big on Southern food. I am not a foodie kind of person. I'm a very picky eater. And I'm very specific about the things that I eat. I basically cook my food all the time. Unless I'm going to some event or something. And even sometimes when I'm doing that, Xavier, I'm drinking my soup or eating my dinner before I go. Honestly, I'm just being honest. So I tend to cook my Jamaican food to the best that I can get stuff. So that's me personally.
You're a true Jamaican, you know.
Yes.
Eat your yard first.
I told you. Yes.
Because I don't enjoy a meal at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night. That's crazy.
Right.
So,
no, I hear you. I am that way. I am going to eat before I leave my house.
Exactly.
Make sure if I do not enjoy what I'm getting,
the belly full.
So, cost of living. What's the cost of living like there in the Atlanta, Georgia area? And Tony, I want to start with you, Tony.
I think the cost of living is moderate in comparison to other states. I know we can compare it to New York and possibly California, but Cost of living for food, I'd compare maybe pretty much with Florida, but the housing I should say, a little less comparative with Florida, but now they're all getting there. The amount of buildings in Atlanta, you just can't believe it now. So the cost of living is a moderate, I'd say.
Okay. All right.
Well, when I move here, Xavier, everybody tell me how things cheap down here. Food cheap, this cheap, house cheap, property tax cheap, and you get more house and all this stuff and whatever. But what they forget to tell you that is you're not making your New Jersey salary when you come down here. and so it's relative, right? So things are kind of relative because the while some of the things may be lesser in terms of expense and so on, you have to also think about the income that you're getting to be able to sustain what you're doing.
All right.
Yeah.
So what advice, starting with you, Dr. Max, what advice would you give? You have people who are coming for the warmth. You have people who may be young people that are seeing Atlanta as this thriving area. What advice would you give anyone who's thinking of moving to the area? And Tony, right after Dr. Max, the same question.
Good.
All right. So make sure you can drive and make sure you have your valid driver's license. Because this is not New York where you hop on and hop off of your subways and, get around quickly on public transportation. We don't have a lot of that unless you're closer into Metro Atlanta area. When you go away from the city, you have to figure out how you're going to get around. There is the traffic. We have traffic down here too, the traffic, it can be, I don't have traffic issues anymore, but when I first came here and have to go across the Cobb County, oh Jesus, the traffic can be very horrendous. Cost of living, like we were talking about, people will say maybe things are cheaper and you get a lot more for your money, but you're gonna have to have that money, and you have to think about the salary, because what you make up north or wherever you're coming from maybe almost cut into half to 3/4 of what you're going to get in Georgia. And that can be a strain, right?
Okay.
Great weather for the most part. We still have a little cold business going on sometime in the winter, but great weather for sure. Plus there's a lot of Jamaican things that you can get here. A lot of restaurants, a lot of food and so on. We have a lot of Jamaican and Caribbean organization, like the Atlanta Jamaican Association, of which I'm presiding over. And, you have your culture is here.
There's a community, I think.
Yeah. Your culture is here, and we're trying our best to keep it alive.
Tony?
Yeah, well, Dr. Max said it all, maybe, almost. Yeah, Atlanta is a great place to live. And I also think in raising kids, it's culturally rich and with a lot of Southern hospitality. As you said before, we got lots of cultural events with the Caribbean nations here. You have the Jerk Festival, you have Caribbean gatherings, carnivals, and of course, you have the greatest of all, the Atlanta Aquarium. It's just a place for everyone come to Atlanta to see. I think it's the greatest. And that's another great area in Atlanta to see, the Martin Luther King Center. There's just so much here. And I really recommend anyone coming to Atlanta, just come and enjoy.
All right. You are both of you, quite the ambassadors for Atlanta, Georgia. Now, I'm going to switch this up a little bit because I've heard the story, and I don't know if anyone has heard it or tried it, that people are trying to grow mango trees in the Georgia area. I even heard this one story. So let me tell you this one story I heard. Someone told me that they had a friend. I don't remember if it's Jamaican or Caribbean. had a dwarf mango tree that they grew during the summer. They put it out. It was in a huge pot, and they got mangoes from it one year. And then when winter came, they put it in the garage. I guess it got a huge enough garage, and so I don't know how true this is, but is anybody experimenting with a winter resistant mango?
How would you try?
So, my lips are sealed, but I do have a mango tree in a pot. It hasn't borne a thing as yet. I also have a June plum tree in a pot, and I do get June plums.
What? Are
From
you
my
serious?
tree. I have an orange tree in a pot, and yes, we bring them inside and we put them out in the summertime and we bring them inside again. I do have those trees.
So the rumor, so because when the person was telling me this was a story of us, from someone else. So we're actually,
It's not a rumor for me.
you are actually doing this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I do. It's the little horticultural June plum tree like back home.
Right.
Some seeds kind of don't tell anybody, but some seed came into the country legally on the plane. And I just eat the plum and plant the seed, and before you know it, a year later, I was getting plums off my plum tree.
Wow. Yeah. All right, the secret is out.
I'm telling you. Well, Xavier, all I gotta say, when it's mango season, I'm in Jamaica. When I need some June plum, I go to the farmer's market. When I need some ackee, I go to the store. I'm not trying any of that.
Yeah. So, yes. All right. So, Tony, you kind of touched on this a little bit. I don't know if Dr. Max wants to add to this, but if there's a place in Atlanta or even in a state that you would say, if you visit, you must visit this particular place, or you must come to this particular event. I'm going to start with you, Dr. Max, as I know mentioned some of it.
And Tony did mention one of my favorite places when I came here and first visited the Georgia Aquarium. I really like it, and what I really like there, the first time you look at everything else, but after that, I just go for like the dolphin show. I love the dolphin show. That's like my favorite thing. I will see it every time somebody come and want to go to the aquarium. I'll go down there just to see the dolphin show. I love it. Yeah.
Tony,
that's my favorite.
All right, Tony, any of your favorites? You had mentioned a couple places, and I know it's different. You mentioned the Martin Luther King, and you mentioned a couple others. Which one would you say this is the one? If it's one you're gonna say, this is the one.
Well, it all depends on the lightness of folks. But like for young folks, I definitely recommend the aquarium. It's just unique. And all the folks, the Martin Luther King Center is really great. And we have lots of cultural events here. We have plays and, carnivals, especially during the summertime. It's really good. Just this city is culturally rich, and you find young and old goes out and just have a great time.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So, you've been there 10 years, Tony, over 30 years. You've seen an influx of people. I mean, literally, when I talk to a lot of young people, especially of African or Jamaican or Caribbean descent, when you're thinking of going anywhere, it's New York, used to be Miami, but no, Atlanta is on that list, and so the growth is there. How have you seen that growth affecting you all? Because Tyler Perry just
built a studio
here, so everyone it's becoming, it's almost like a magnet for Black professionals. How's that affected you, and what have you seen there since all of this has been happening?
So I think Atlanta offers a lot of opportunity for, I'm going to say, Black professionals. You can come here and start your own thing, your own business, your own practice, your own professional, you know, field of study or whatever you're into. It's very friendly and open from my point of view to you getting into doing something for yourself. So there are opportunities here, but it's kind of a lot of that kind of in Metro Atlanta. When you start going way out, I don't know. I can't tell you a lot about that because we're kind of just around this circle
Okay.
in Atlanta. But there, and for young people, young professionals, there, I think the opportunities are here if you really come and be determined to
Right.
achieve and accomplish something.
Okay.
Yes.
Anything to add, Tony?
Well said, Dr. Max. Yes, it is. Of course, Atlanta is the home of Delta, so we are a hub. And also during the fall, the Great Georgia Mountains is just a wonderful place to go see. The place is just bustling with activities and just a great place. I enjoy being here and really don't plan to come to Florida anytime soon.
All right. So listen, guys, I really appreciate you coming on, telling us a little bit about your experience as a Jamaican living in Atlanta, Georgia. Last couple things I'm gonna ask. What do you miss the most about Jamaica? I'll start with you, Tony.
Well, let's start with the beaches. In Jamaica, almost every weekend I'm at the beach, and I miss like the Christmas celebrations, the fruits, and of course the weather. Just Jamaican at hand. I just hadn't gotten used to the cold yet, but hey, you have to put up with it.
30 odd years there and more years in Texas, and you don't get used to cold weather yet? Come on.
No, I just put up with it.
They don't see you. Nobody sees you during winter, I guess, right? You're high.
Yeah, I get up, but I'm all cloaked up. You might not see me. I'm under there somewhere.
Dr. Max, what you miss the
Well,
most?
what I miss the most is the food, right? You know, that fresh, real organic food, like you can go around in your backyard and you have something for dinner. I miss that the most because the things that they're giving us to eat, it's just not good.
Right.
It's just not good. When I'm home,
right,
man, green banana, green boiled banana. Oh my God. Them so soft and so nice. And when you buy them up here in the store, they're tough like rock stone.
You must be from St. Thomas, Maxine.
People that say that.
Sent near banana. You need some sent near banana.
The food, and the fish, the real fish. I don't do pan fish.
Fresh
I don't
fish.
like those kind of fish. The real fish that comes out of the Caribbean Sea.
All right. So,
yes, I miss those things.
I think I'm going to stay with you, Dr. Max, because I think you probably already answered this question. But when you land, here's a scenario. You get off the plane, Jamaica, you're coming out the airport. What's that first thing you are doing? It could be, some people say it's the beach. Some people say it's the coconut water. Some people say they're going here to buy this food. What is that thing that you're doing?
Most time I'm looking forward to making a pit stop in Yalas, where the people on the road selling stuff, and
Right.
you want some good food, whether it's some soup, some jerk, something, that type of thing. So that's kind of like the pit stop on my way to where I'm going.
All right, Tony, what is that first thing you're doing?
Get off the plane in Montego Bay. I want a patty and a cold red stripe beer. And on my way on the North Coast Highway, there's a jerk place. I forget the name of it, but I always stop there and get jerk, and it's the car seat. Sometimes I mix it up on my camera on the way to Portland. But I must have that patty and a cold red stripe beer.
All right.
Welcome.
Well, Tony, Dr. Max, thank you again for sharing some time with us and telling us again about Atlanta, Georgia. How do you all usually say goodbye to your Jamaican friends?
Later.
Later.
All right.
See you later.
But,
You know, later. Big
Well,
up on yourself.
before you go, let me commend you, man. I've seen some of your clips before, and there was this gentleman in Brazil down in the Amazon. I don't know how you found him. I don't know where on earth you're finding these Jamaicans foreign, but continue the good works, my brother. We
Yes.
thoroughly enjoy.
And listen,
Yes.
you guys are warriors there also. I know you're both involved. I think Tony, you were president before, I
Indeed.
think, of the Atlanta Jamaica Association. Dr. Max, you are now. And I know this type of work is hard work. It's not visible. It is not visible, but it is very hard work keeping an organization together and doing the things that you do. So I really appreciate you spending the time. Folks, these are folks that know that community. If you're thinking of making some type of connection there, please reach out to them. You can look them up online.
Indeed.
Dr. Max, what's the address for the American
Atlanta Jamaican Association.
Yes, you can go to our website, Atlanta Jamaican with an N,
Right.
association.org, and you can find us there and communicate with us.
All right.
Or you can look us up on Facebook as well, Atlanta Jamaican Association. You feel free to look me up. I guess you'll find me. Google me. I'm somewhere out there.
Right.
And I don't have a cell phone number. It's my every phone. So.
And just don't look up our address because we don't know nobody for the June plums. And
they probably won't be able to get to me because I have high security. Tony is my bodyguard.
Well, I'm going to raid that mango tree tonight.
Take care, guys.
Thank you. Thank you,
All right.
Xavier. Thank you so much.
Thanks again. Good seeing you, Dr. Max. All of it.
Show some love now. Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss a video.